Errol, most people think of you as an Irishman, but you are, I believe, an Australian.
Well, Tony, that is not entirely true. I'm actually a Tasmanian. A Tasmania is a little thing that looks like a kidney. It's a lower part of Australia, and it's nearest the South Pole. My father told me that it's the closest mass of land where, what was it, Scott first went, and Hillary just recently, and I happened to be born there. How, I don't know. However, I was born when I was very young.
Yeah.
And as a result, it appears that my father went down there with Mother on a scientific expedition. It was called the Aurora expedition with Shackleton. And he was a scientist, one of them. And I got born. What more do you want?
Well, what was your father? What business had he
He was
down there?
a professor of biology, a young biologist at that time, I presume. And still is, by the way. And down he went there, and the boat was called the Aurora. And I think it was Shackleton who led the expedition, and Dad was one of them. So I got born in a place called Tasmania. If you know where it is, by the way, you get a cigar.
I know exactly where it is.
You do? Well, not many people do. It's that little thing that looks like a heart or a kidney way south of Australia. That's why many people say I have such a great heart.
Yes. How about the first 10 years of your life, Errol?
First 10 years? Anonymous.
You know nothing about them?
Oh, well. Flashes. I don't know. I tortured ducks and other animals, like all small boys, I suppose. I can't remember much about them.
But where did you spend most of those years?
They were spent in England, Ireland, mostly Ireland, and some in Australia. The early years in Australia, so I'm told. And I see photographs today sometimes shown to me. Otherwise, I don't know. First 10 years are rather remote.
You're noted as a world traveler, so it appears that the traveling began at an early age.
Yes, I always wanted to travel.
How about the latter stages of your education? Where?
Let me ask you about your life here, Tony. It'd be much more interesting than mine. Mine rather bores me.
No. Is it true that you once boxed in the Olympics?
No, that's not true. I was chosen for it. It's been reported that I was. And I was chosen for the diving and the boxing. And I was no good as a boxer. I hated getting hit.
Mm-hmm. You did very well in a picture called Gentleman Jim.
Probably a hangover.
No, it wasn't. That was skillful boxing. Is it true that you were once a policeman in New Guinea?
Yeah, so to speak. I was up there in New Guinea when I went back the second time. Hello, sweetheart. Because my darling wife just came in. Yes, I was. Ever since, I've had a complete disregard for policemen. Mark you, many of them my firm friends. But to find myself in the role of a policeman, I wouldn't like to do it again. It was all right, however. Go ahead, Tony. I have something more.
Now, Errol, the motion picture that you have just finished, yet to be released, is Too Much Too Soon, the Diana Barrymore story in which you played John Barrymore. Now, I know that you were a great admirer of Barrymore, and I'm curious to know how you played the part.
Oh, yes. Well, you see, I tried to take Jack, who was a dear friend. He really was. I was allowed on the outer fringes of his society because I was so much younger. But he was one of my very good friends, and he had the generosity to take me into his circle. Well, to play Jack, of course, is a very hard thing. You do not give an imitation of him. That's bad. But I tried to take him when he was not the buffoon, before he became the buffoon, which he deliberately did himself, and burlesqued himself, as we all know, on the stage. But I took a period of his life where he found himself lost and was trying to get a hold of himself. And this is what I think you'll see in Too Much Too Soon. Warner Brothers are kind enough to say it's one of their best pictures. And we hope so. That's all.
Errol, the last picture in which we saw you was The Sun Also Rises. And even critics who had not liked you before said that you were wonderful in this. Now, were you conscious of acting better in that picture than in others?
Well, if the critics said that, you know, it's a kind word in a hard, cruel world. I was not conscious of it, no. Darryl Zanuck, of course, had this idea, and it was an escape for me to go down and play this part, so I just rollicked through it, as I imagined the Hemingway character, And I'm glad it came off. People have been very kind.
Well, let's mention at this point that the news has just come through from Hollywood that you've been nominated for an Academy Award.
Yes, isn't that something?
I think it's
I never
wonderful.
thought it'd happen to me.
We understand you've been writing an autobiography. How's it going? When might it come out?
Lousy. I find that the pangs of writing are harder than acting. And, I'm about halfway through, and when I reread it the other day, I almost vomited. Very bad.
Well, your first book, B-Men's, was a wonderful book.
Well, thank you, old boy. Thank you very much.
And then there was Showdown. I have a copy of that. That wasn't quite as good as B-Men.
No, that's when I gave up writing.
But we hope that this autobiography will come out.
So does the publisher. They gave me an advance.
Errol, last time I saw you was in London, mid-1955, when you were working on King's Rhapsody.
Oh, really? King's Rhapsody? Well, mighty fine.
You prefer not to mention that one.
Yes, I think we'll let that sink back into the obscurity from which it should never have emerged.
Did you left London, then, after making that picture?
No, I went back to Spain. I've been living down there in Spain, you see. I live on a boat, saves the rent. And with my wife, small child, and a lot of animals and everything else like this. We have a zoo down there. It's marvelous.
That's the Zaka you're talking about, your
Yes.
boat. I hear it might be getting holes in the bottom now. Is that true?
Are you kidding? You better let me know.
Errol,
I hardly think
I remember your very first picture, I think. Captain Blood. Was that 1936?
That was, somewhere about there, I think.
And since then, about 40 motion pictures.
About that.
How do you feel as you look back over that great big roster of epics?
Well, I feel, this is no cynicism, I feel that when I look back at my contemporaries of the time, like Bob Taylor, Gable was before me, Tracy was before me, and people like Ty Powell was a contemporary, they've made twice as many pictures as I have. I don't know how richer they are, but in any case, they've worked twice as hard.
I would say about half of your pictures have been adventurous, swashbuckling types.
Oh, much more than that, yes.
More than that.
Just recently, I seem to be getting into a new field, thanks to fellows like Darrell Zanuck and Jack Warner.
Giving you the part in The Sun Also Rises.
Yes, and also Too Much Too Soon, which is coming out. It looks like things are looking up. In other words, no longer will somebody say, here's your horse, here's your sword, do something.
Right.
In other words, it's a more thoughtful sort of career.
Errol, you've been on the go ever since you were born. I imagine few people in the world today have traveled as much as you have. Now, why?
Well, I don't know. I suppose some of us are cave dwellers, some of us live in houses, and some of us like to be loose-footed. I'm a rambling man.
And you're going to keep on rambling, huh?
Oh, yes. Have to.
Well, there must be a few places in this world that you have not seen.
Yes, quite a few. That'll have to be looked into. Bet.
But of all these places, where would you like to settle down? What do you like best?
That's a very odd question. Where to settle down? I don't know.
How about Jamaica?
Jamaica's very wonderful. You've been there yourself, so you ought to know.
You've got a lot of property there, too.
Yes.
And the last time I was there, they were asking about you. When are you coming back?
Well, that's their prerogative. They're very nice.